Hello everyone. In the last videos we discussed about the asynchronous counters and today we are going to discuss about the synchronous counters. To eliminate the ripple effects of asynchronous counters, use a common clock for each flip-flop and a combinational circuit to generate the next state. Synchronous counters are counters in which all the flip-flops are triggered simultaneously by the clock input pulses. So using the same clock, all the flip-flops are triggered parallelly, simultaneously. And so these synchronous counters can also be called as parallel counters. Since all the flip-flops changes their state simultaneously in synchronization with the same clock pulse, the propagation delays of the flip-flops do not add it together to produce the overall delay. And so the synchronous counters have the advantages of high speed and less severe decoding problems. But it faces some disadvantages of having more circuitry than required for the asynchronous counters. Now let's look into a 2-bit synchronous up counter. Since it is a 2-bit counter, we need two flip-flops. Okay, these two flip-flops can be either JK flip-flop or D flip-flop or T flip-flop. Okay, using any of these three flip-flops, we can create a counter. Okay, here in the first case, we are making use of a JK flip-flop. Okay, we are making use of two JK flip-flop to construct a 2-bit counter. Okay, since it is a synchronous counter, both these flip-flops are triggered by the same clock. Okay, the same positive edge triggered clock is triggered by both the flip-flops. Okay, and since it is an up counter, the Q0 value or the Q output of the flip-flop is connected as the J and K input values to the next flip-flop connected in the chain. Okay, so the first flip-flop is always connected to logic high. That makes this FF0 to toggle its state. Okay, so it produces a Q value. That Q value is connected as the input values to the next flip-flop connected in the chain. Okay, so this Q0 will be the input values to the J1 and K1. That is J1 is equal to K1 is equal to Q0. So only when this Q0 is equal to 1, this FF1 is toggling. Okay. Now let's look into the 2-bit synchronous up counter designed using D flip-flop. As you know, to make this D flip-flop to be in the toggle mode, we need to connect this Q bar to the input terminal. Okay, so this Q0 bar is connected back to the D0 and both the flip-flops are triggered by the positive edge of this clock. Okay, so the output from this first flip-flop and the Q1 both are XOR. So Q0 XOR X1 is connected as the input to the next flip-flop connected in the chain. So to the D1 the values are Q0 exclusive or Q1. Okay, so this is the method to construct a 2-bit synchronous up counter using D flip-flop. Now let's look into the working of a 2-bit synchronous up counter designed using two JK flip-flops. Okay. During the first clock pulse, the J0 is equal to K0 is equal to 1. That makes this FF0 toggle and so this Q0 will therefore go high. That is Q0 is equal to 1. Okay. So during the first clock pulse, during the positive edge of this first clock pulse, this Q0 will toggle to the high state. Fine. What about this FF1 during the first clock pulse? The J1 and K1 are both low during the positive edge of this first clock pulse because of the propagation delay in the gates. The Q0 to which the J1 and K1 are connected has not yet gone high. That is, the Q0 is equal to 0 during the positive edge of the first clock pulse. So that leads to J1 is equal to K1 is equal to 0. which is a no change condition, and therefore the flip-flop 1 doesn't change its state, that is Q1 remains in the logic 0 state. Okay, now let's look into the second positive clock edge. Okay, so during this positive edge, this flip-flop 0 will toggle to the low state, that is Q0 is equal to 0. By the time this f of 1 will toggle to the high state, because at the time of this positive second clock pulse, the J1 and K1 inputs will be having the 1 value. That makes this flip-flop 1 to toggle its state. So it changes the Q1 to the high state. So thus after the clock 2, Q0 is equal to 0 and Q1 is equal to 1. So what about the third clock pulse? At the third clock pulse, when we look into this f of 0, this f of 0 will toggle because the J0K value is 1, that makes to toggle its state. So this f of 0 will toggle on every clock pulse. On every positive edge, this f of 0 will toggle because its input terminals are connected to logic 1 to make that one in the toggle mode. Fine. So, but this f of 2, what about the f of 1? The second flip-flop. The second flip-flop won't change its state because the Q0 value is low state. Okay, so this Q0 is low state, and so this J1 and K1 is equal to 0, and so it remains in the same state. Okay, during the fourth clock pulse, again the Q0 value toggles. This high value in the Q0 makes this Q1 also toggle. Okay, so this is the working of a 2-bit synchronous up counter. Now let's look into a 3-bit synchronous binary counter. Since it is a 3-bit counter, we need to have 3 flip-flops. Okay, now let's look into the state sequence for this 3-bit binary counter. So the 3 outputs from the 3 flip-flops are Q0, Q1 and Q2. Okay, during initially all the flip-flops are in the 0 state. Fine. During the first clock pulse, the Q0 changes its state because this first flip-flop is always connected to the logic high. So that makes this Q0 changes its state on every clock pulse. It toggles its state on every clock pulse. Fine. But when we look into this Q1 toggles from the 0, it changes to 1, or from the 1, it changes to 0. So this Q1 toggles each time when Q0 is equal to 1. Q1 will toggle each time when Q0 is equal to 1. When Q0 is equal to 1, the Q1 changes its state to from logic 0 to logic 1. So the second case, when this one occurs, it toggles its state from 1 to 0. 0 to 1, right? So this Q1 toggles each time Q0 is equal to 1. So this changes occurs at clock 2, clock 4, clock 6 and clock 8. The clock 8 pulse causes the counter to recycle. So it reaches the terminal count, the largest value, and so we need to recycle. Okay, so the clock 8 pulse causes the counter to recycle. So when Q0 is equal to 1 and a clock pulse occurs, the f of 1 will be in the toggle mode. Okay, that is the case of Q1. Then now let's look into this Q2. This Q2 changes its state from the logic 0 to logic 1 when both Q1 as well as Q0 are high. And this condition can be detected by means of an AND gate. So when both this Q1 and Q0 is high, then it toggles its state. Okay, when both the conditions are high, it toggles its state. Okay, so based on that fact, we can draw the timing diagram. During the first positive edge, the Q0 changes. The Q0 toggles on every clock pulse. Fine. This Q1 toggles on toggles only when the Q0 is equal to 1. When Q0 is equal to 1, it changes. When Q0 is equal to 1, it toggles. Okay, this Q2 will change when both Q0 as well as Q1 is high. So when both Q0 and Q1 is high, the Q2 changes its state. Okay. Okay, now let's look into the logic diagram of this 3-bit synchronous binary up counter. Okay, since it is 3-bit, we are taking 3 flip-flops. Okay, fine. This Q0 will toggle on every mode, right? On every clock pulse, this Q0 will toggle. So this J0 is equal to K0 is connected to the logic high value. Okay, so this Q0 or the FF0 will toggle on every clock pulse. Okay. Then what about the Q1? The Q1 will toggle when this Q0 is equal to 1. Okay, that is when J1 is equal to K1 is equal to Q0 is equal to 1. This Q1 will equal to 1. That is f of 1 will toggle only when the Q0 is equal to 1. Fine. Then what about the case of J2 and K2, or what about the case of f of 2? This f of 2 will toggle when both f of 0 and f of 1 produces high output. That is Q0 is equal to Q1 is equal to 1. When both Q0 and Q1 is high, then this f of 2 produces a, or f of 2 toggles its state. Okay, when Q0 into Q1 is equal to 1, then the J2 indicates J2 and K2 will get the value as 1. That means this f of 2 will be in the toggle mode. So this Q2 can change its state. Okay, so by means of this AND gate, we can connect the, we can check the condition Q0 into Q1 is equal to 1 or not. Similarly, let's look into this 4-bit synchronous binary up counter. The first flip-flop is connected to logic 1. Okay, so this f of 0 will toggle on every negative edge of this clock pulse. Okay, then what about the case of f of 1? F of 1, this Q1 or if the f of 1 toggles on all negative clock edges when Q0 is equal to 1 previously. Okay, so when Q0 is equal to 1, J1 is equal to K1 is equal to 1. That makes this f of 1 to toggle. Okay, fine. Then what about the case of f of 2? F of 2 will toggle when both Q0 and Q1 is equal to 1 previously. So when both Q0 and Q1 is equal to 1 previously, the f of 2 will toggle. Fine. What about the case of f of 3? F of 3 will toggle on all negative edges when Q0, Q1 and Q2 is equal to 1 previously. So when Q0, Q1 and Q2 is equal to 1 previously, this f of 3 toggles its state. Okay, so this is the state table. Okay, now let's discuss about a 4-bit synchronous decade counter. This counter can also be called as a BCD counter. As we know, deca means 10. So this counter consists of 10 different states. Fine. So to represent this 10 different states, how many bits are required? 4 bits are required. Okay. So using this 4 bits, how many possible states are there? 2 raised to 4. 16 possible states are there. But out of this 16, only 10 states are valid in this BCD counter. The states from 1010 to 1111 is invalid in BCD counter. Okay, when we look into the state table of this BCD counter, we can see that during the 10th clock pulse, after this 1001 state, it should be resetted back to the 0000 state. That is, instead of moving to the 1010 state, it should be resetted back to the 0000 state. Fine. Okay. When we look into the state table, we can see that Q0 will toggle on every clock pulse. Okay. So to make this flip-flop 0 to be in the toggle mode on every clock pulse, we need to connect this J and K terminals of F0 to logic 1. Okay. Now let's look into this Q1. We can see that the Q1 toggles when Q0 is equal to 1. When Q0 is equal to 1, Q1 toggles. Okay. But when we look into this ninth clock pulse, when we are having this Q0 as 1, this Q1 is not changing its state. So when we look into this Q3 value, this Q3 value is 1. But in the other cases, the Q3 value is 0. So the condition for toggling this Q1 is Q0 should be 1 as well as this Q3 value should be 0. Q3 value should be 0. Then only the Q or the F of 1 will toggle. Okay. So the equation for Q1 or the JK and J1 and K1 of the F of 1 should be connected to Q0 into Q3 complement. Fine. When we look into this Q2 toggles when both Q0 and Q1 equal to 1. When both Q0 and Q1 is equal to 1, this Q2 toggles. Okay, fine. When we look into this Q3, we can see that when both Q0, Q1 and Q2 is equal to 1, it toggles. And also, it toggles the state when Q0 is equal to 1 and Q3 is equal to 1. Okay, so to have this reset state, we need to include the second term. So when we are having Q0 is equal to 1 and Q3 is equal to 1, then also it changes its state, it toggles its state. So J3 is equal to K3 is equal to 1 when both Q0 into Q1 into Q2 and Q0 into Q3 satisfies the condition. Okay. Now let's draw the corresponding logic diagram. As we said, this J0 and K0 terminals should be connected to logic 1 to make this F of 0 to be toggle in every clock pulse. Okay. Then J1 and K1, it should be connected to Q0 into Q3 complement. Okay. Then J2 and K2 should be connected to Q0 into Q1. Q0 into Q1. Okay. Then J3 and K3 should be connected to Q0 into Q1 into Q2 plus Q0 into Q3. This is Q0 into Q3 term and this is Q0 into Q1 into Q2 gate. Okay, so either of this should be connected to the J and K terminals of F of 3. Okay, so this is the logic diagram of 4-bit synchronous BCD counter. So how to design a synchronous counter? The first step is we need to develop a state diagram. That means we need to know what all are the state sequences. Okay. Then develop a next state table for a specified counter sequence. Then create a flip-flop transition table. Use the cape map method to derive the logic requirements for a synchronous counter. That means we need to obtain the minimal expression. Okay. Then implement the counter to produce a specified sequence of states based on this minimal expression. Okay. Now let's design a 3-bit gray code counter. As you know, this gray code, the difference between the consequent or the subsequent codes will be just 1. The distance between the two codes in the chain will be just 1. That is 000 to 001. The distance between these two adjacent code will be 1. That is only one bit is changing its state. Then when we look into this 001 to 011, here also only one bit is changing its state. The middle bit is changing its state. Both the other bits are remaining in state. So then this is in the gray code. Then the next one 011 is changed to 010. Only the LSB is changing its bit. Then from the 010 it moves to 110, 111, 101, 100 and finally back to the 000 state. So this is the state table and based on the state table we are drawing the state diagram. Okay. After creating the state diagram, now let's create the next state table which lists each state of the counter along with the corresponding next state. Okay, so it lists the present state as well as the next state. Okay, if 00 is the present state, the next gray code state is 001. If this current state is 111, the next gray code is 101. From 101, it moves to the 100 state. From the 100 state, which is the last state of the 3-bit gray code counter, it moves to the 000 state. Okay, so this is the next state table for the 3-bit gray code counter. Fine. Now we need to create the transition table. We can create the counter using either JK flip-flop or T flip-flop or D flip-flop. Here we are taking JK flip-flop. So let's create a transition table for a JK flip-flop. So in the table, this Qn represents the present state and the Qn plus 1 represents the next state. Present state means the state before the clock pulse, and the next state means the clock or the state happened after the clock pulse. Okay. If the present state is 0 and if we want to have the next state as 0 itself, so what about the J and K input terminals? So from the present state, if the next state is also 0, that means it remains in the same state or it remains in the reset state. So the combination can be either 0, 0 or 0, 1. 0, 1, that K means 1. So K means 1 means it should be in the reset state or it can remain in the same state. So we can have the values as 0x. 0x represents 0 stands for the J value is having the 0. It represents that it should not set the state. It should not set the flip-flop. Okay, K can have either the 1 value or the 0 value. That means we can have either the 0 0 combination or 0 1 combination. In both the combination, this 0 can be changed to 0. Okay, now let's look into the next transition, the 0 1 transition. From the 0, it should trigger to 1 state. Okay, so to have this 1 state, that means we need to set the flip-flop. Okay, for that we are putting the J value as 1. Okay, we can have the J, we are setting the J value as 1. Okay, fine. Then what about the K value? So this combination 1 0 as well as 1 1 makes this transition possible, right? So from the 0 to 1, that means it toggles its state 0 to 1. So we can have that one using this 1 1 combination, or it is in the reset state, so we can have that one using 1 0 combination. So the flip-flop inputs can be 1x. This x can have both the 0 or 1 value. Similarly, let's look into this 1 0 transition. From the 1, it is moving to the 0 state. That is, we can have a toggle state or we can have the reset state. Toggle state means 1 1 state and the reset state means 0 1 state. So the K value is set as 1 and the J can have either the 0 value or the 1 value. Okay, then let's look into the last transition, that is 1 1 transition. That means there is no change in the state or the flip-flop should be in the set state. So what about the JK values? No change in the state means it can be either 0 0 state or it can be in the set state, that is 1 0 state. So this J can take either 0 or 1, but the K should always be 0. Okay, so this is the transition table for a JK flip-flop. Okay. So next step is using this K-map method, we need to derive the logic requirements for the 3-bit gray code counter. Okay, so we need to find out the equations for J0, K0, J1, K1 and J2, K2. Okay, for that we are going to draw the K-map for the J0, K0, J1, K1 and J2, K2 using this next state table and the flip-flop transition table details. Okay, now let's look into this J0 and K0 K-map. Okay, when we look into this cell, since it is a 3-bit counter, we are taking a 3-bit K-map. Okay, Q2, Q1, Q0, 3-bit K-map. The first cell represents the 000 state. Okay, for the present state 000, since we are considering this J0 and K0 K-map, we are considering only the K0 values. Okay, we are looking only to the Q0 values. Q0 values, since we are considering only the J0 and K0 K-maps here, we are considering only the Q0 values. Okay, fine. So for the present state 0, 0, 0, the Q0 makes a transition from 0 to 1 to the next state. Okay, so from the present to the next state, this Q0 makes a transition from 0 to 1. So if you're having a 0 to 1 transition, then the J value is 1 and the corresponding K value is X. Okay. Similarly, for the cell 101, 101, the present state is 101. From that state, the Q0 makes a transition from 1 to 0. 1 to 0. So if it makes a transition from 1 to 0, then the J value should be X and the K value should be 1. Okay. Similarly, let us fill all the remaining cells for this K map for this J0 and K0. We'll be getting the J0 and K0 K map like this. So based on this, we can simplify, we got the simplified expression for J0 as Q2 into Q1 plus Q2 bar into Q1 bar. That is nothing but Q1 exclusive over Q2 the whole bar. Okay. Similarly, K0 is equal to Q2 Q1 bar plus Q2 bar Q1. It is in the form of A B bar plus A bar B. That is exclusive OR gate, right? So it can be written as Q1 exclusive or Q2. Okay, so J0 is equal to Q1 exclusive or Q2 the whole bar. K0 is equal to Q1 exclusive or Q2. Similarly, K1 is equal to Q0 into Q2. J1 is equal to Q0 into Q2 complement. J2 is equal to Q1 into Q0 complement, whereas K2 is equal to Q1 bar into Q0 complement. Okay, now we know the equations for J0, K0, J1, K1, J2 and K2. Now let's draw the corresponding logic diagram. Now let's implement the counter using the equations that we just derived. As we said, J0 is equal to Q1 exclusive or Q2 the whole bar. So using an exclusive or, we can implement this J0 value, right? XNOR gate. Okay, so it's Q1, this is the Q1 value, Q1 exclusive or Q2 the whole bar. Okay, similarly, K0 is equal to Q1 exclusive or Q2. Q1 exclusive or Q2. Okay, so that's the case of f of 0. Then what about the case of f of 1? J1 is equal to Q0 into Q2 complement. Then K1 is equal to Q2 into Q0. Q2 into Q0. This is the Q2 line. Q2 into Q0. That is K1. Similarly, J2 is equal to Q1 into Q0 complement. Q0 complement. This is the Q0 complement line. Okay, J2 is equal to Q1 into Q0 complement. Similarly, K2 is equal to Q1 complement into Q0 complement. Okay, so this is the counter for this 3-bit gray code sequence. Let's discuss about an up-down counters. An up-down counter is one that is capable of progressing in either direction through a certain sequence. That is, we can count either in the up direction or in the down direction. And sometimes it is also called as a bidirectional counter because it can move to either of these directions and it can have any specified sequence of states. For example, a 3-bit binary counter can advances upward through its sequence 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and then can be reversed so that it goes through the sequence in the opposite direction. That is 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. It is an illustration of up-down sequential operation. In general, most up-down counters can be reversed at any point in the sequence. For instance, the 3-bit up counter can be made to go through the following sequence. That is, we can count up to 5, then it can count downwards like 5, 4, 3, 2. Again, we can go up 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then we can move down. That is, we can reverse the counting in at any point in the sequence. Okay, now let's look into a 3-bit up-down synchronous counter. Since it is a 3-bit counter, how many flip-flops are there? Of course, 3 flip-flops are there. Okay, from these 3 flip-flops, how many outputs will be generated? 3 outputs will be generated. What are they? They are Q2, Q1 and Q0. Okay, when we look into that, since it can work in both the modes, right? It can work in up mode or in the down mode. Okay, when we look into this Q0, we can see that this Q0 toggles its state for both the up mode as well as the down mode. Okay, for the case of up counter, the initial state is 000, then the next state is 001. It goes through the various state and it reaches the 111 state. Whereas in the case of down counting, the initial state is 111, the next state is 110, 101. It moves, it continues till we reach the 000 state. Fine. Okay, then when we look into this Q1, for the up sequence, this Q1 toggles when Q0 is equal to 1 previously. And for the down sequence, we can see that this Q1 toggles when Q0 is equal to 0 previously. So we can write the equation for J1 and K1 as Q0 into up plus Q0 bar into down. That is, when Q0 is equal to 1, it performs the up operation. When Q0 is equal to 0, it toggles on the down sequence. So we can write the equation as Q0 into up plus Q0 bar into down. Okay. When we look into this Q2 for the up sequence, this Q2 toggles when both Q0 and Q1 value is 1. And for the down sequence, this Q2 toggles when both Q1 and Q0 value is 0. So we can write the equation as J2 is equal to K2 is equal to Q0 into Q1 into up plus Q0 bar into Q1 bar into down. Okay, now let's draw the logic diagram. Now let's draw the corresponding logic diagram. First, we need to draw 3 JK flip-flops. Label its input terminals as J0, K0, J1, K1 and J2, K2. Okay, fine. All these 3 flip-flops should be driven by the same positive edge triggered clock. Okay, so using the same clock, all the 3 flip-flops need to be triggered. Okay, fine. Then the first flip-flop F of 0 should be connected to logic 1. Okay, then since it is an up down counter, we need to have one more additional control line, that is up or down complement line. Okay, so when this line is equal to 1, it performs the up counting, and if it is 0, it performs the down counting. So we need to have one inverter on the same line to perform this second operation. Okay, so as we said, this J and K terminals of F of 0 is connected to logic 1. Fine. Moving to the F of 1. The J1 and K1 terminals of this F of 1 should be connected to either of these two terms, Q0 into up. That is, if you are performing the up counting, then Q0 should be connected to J1 and K1. If we are performing the down operation, then Q0 bar should be connected to the J1 and K1. Okay, so if up operation Q0, that is Q0 into up. If down operation, Q0 bar into down. Okay, so that is the case of J1 and K1. Then when we look into this J2 and K2, if it is an up operation, then we need to connect Q0 into Q1 into up. If it is down operation, then we need to connect Q0 into Q0 complement into Q1 complement into down. Okay, so either of this should be connected to G2 and K2. So based on the up or down control line, either of these output lines or the output from either of these AND gates will be connected to this J2 and K2. Okay, so if it is up mode, then Q0 into Q1 is connected to J2 and K2 terminals, and if it is down mode, then Q0 bar into Q1 bar will be connected to J2 and K2 terminals. Okay, so this is the case of 3-bit up-down synchronous counter. So in this video, we discussed about synchronous counters, and also we discussed about the steps to design a synchronous counter. Thank you.